We were always together. Family functions, weddings, festivals, birthdays, we never missed anything. Our house was full during celebrations. Laughter echoed. Relatives praised our unity. "You all are so close," people would say. And we smiled, because from the outside, it looked true. But closeness in photos is not always closeness in reality. In daily life, we lived parallel lives. My father left early and returned late. My mother handled everything quietly. My older brother stayed busy building his career. I stayed busy figuring out mine. We shared space. We shared meals. We shared responsibilities. What we didn't share were our struggles. If Papa looked stressed, we assumed work would settle. If Ma seemed tired, we assumed she would manage. If my brother was quiet, I thought he needed space. If I felt overwhelmed, I told myself it wasn't important. We were careful not to burden each other. That word, burden, shaped our silence. One evening, my brother missed dinner. Not unusual. He often worked late. But that night, he came home earlier than expected and went straight to his room without speaking. Something felt different. Ma knocked gently. No response. Papa called his name. Silence. After some time, he opened the door. He didn't look angry. He didn't look dramatic. He looked empty. We sat together in the living room. No television. No phones. Just tension in the air. Finally, he spoke. "I feel like I'm failing," he said. The words shocked us. From our perspective, he was doing well. Good job, good salary, responsible, mature. But he explained that success didn't feel fulfilling, that he felt lost despite doing everything right, that he was afraid to admit. Confusion because everyone believed he had it together. We had mistaken responsibility for certainty. Papa listened quietly. For once, he didn't immediately offer advice. Ma held his hand. I realized I had never asked him how he truly felt about his life, only about his achievements. That night, something broke. Not our family, our assumptions. We realized we had been loving each other based on appearances. We celebrated visible victories. We ignored invisible battles. After that evening, conversations changed. Not instantly, not perfectly, but gradually. Papa began sharing stories from his early struggles times. He doubted himself, but never spoke about it. Ma admitted she often felt unappreciated but didn't want to complain. I confessed my fear of not knowing what direction my life should take. We discovered that uncertainty was not weakness. It was human. We began checking in with each other differently. Not how's work, but how are you feeling about work? Not everything fine, but what's been on your mind lately? Sometimes the answers were small. Sometimes they were heavy, but they were real. Months later, life still looked the same from outside. We still attended functions. We still smiled in photos. We still looked like a close family. But peace built on silence is fragile. Real peace comes when everyone feels safe enough to say, "I'm not okay," and know that the room will not judge them, only hold them. That night, my brother didn't solve all his confusion, but he no longer carried it alone. And that changed everything. Because sometimes the strongest families are not the ones who never struggle, but the ones who finally choose to struggle together. In the weeks after that night, nothing dramatic changed on the surface. My brother still went to work every morning. Papa still left early. Ma still prepared breakfast before anyone else woke up. I still attended my classes and pretended to understand where my life was heading. But inside the house, something subtle had shifted. There was less pretending. One Sunday afternoon, my brother sat with Papa on the balcony. No agenda, no advice session, just tea between them. I watched from inside as they spoke, not as father and son locked in expectations, but as two men discussing uncertainty. Later that evening, Papa told us something surprising. "When I was your age," he said, looking at my brother, "I had no idea what I was doing. I only acted confident because I thought that's what responsibility looked like." We stared at him. Papa had always seemed certain, steady, unshakable. But now we saw the truth. Even strength has doubt behind it. Ma added softly, "We all learn while walking. No one has everything figured out." That sentence stayed in the air long after she said it. We began sharing more than just problems. We shared confusion, hesitation, second thoughts, things we once considered weaknesses. Dinner became less about updates and more about reflection. What did today teach you? What surprised you? What scared you a little? Sometimes the answers were light. Sometimes they were heavy. One evening, I admitted I had applied for something I wasn't sure I deserved. I expected doubt. Instead, my brother smiled and said, "Trying is never foolish." The same brother who once felt like he was failing. Slowly, encouragement replaced comparison. We stopped measuring each other by milestones. We began noticing effort instead. My brother didn't quit his job immediately. He didn't run away from responsibility, but he allowed himself to explore. A small online course, a side project, conversations with people in different fields. Not secretly, openly. Papa didn't pressure him for instant clarity. Ma didn't panic about uncertainty. I didn't silently compare my path to his. We were learning something important. Direction is clear. There were still hard walking alone. Days when doubt returned. Days when frustration flared. Days when old habits tried to sneak back in. But now, when someone withdrew into silence, it didn't last long. Because someone would knock. Not aggressively, gently, talk to me. And sometimes, that was enough. And sometimes, that was enough.